Okay, have you ever set a huge goal for yourself? Like, I'm gonna get fit or I'm gonna read a book a week, only to watch it completely fizzle out after a few days? Yeah, you are not alone. In this explainer, we are digging into the real secret of making new habits actually stick. And here's a hint: the answer is to think incredibly, almost ridiculously small.
So let's get right to it. Why do most of our new habits fail so spectacularly? Well, it almost always comes down to one simple thing. We try to do way too much, way too soon. Our motivation is through the roof on day one, right? But here's the thing about motivation. It's a fickle friend. It just doesn't last.
And this is what that looks like. On the left, you've got that classic go big goal: run 5 miles every single day. And on the right, the micro habit solution: just put on your running shoes. See the difference? Instead of needing a mountain of willpower, the whole idea is to focus on a starting ritual that is literally too easy to say no to. And that right there is the fundamental shift we're talking about today.
So, how do we actually build these tiny, super powerful habits? Well, it turns out there's a simple, proven blueprint that works for just about anything you can think of. So let's break it down. The entire framework is just this simple three-step process. First, you find your cue, which is like a trigger. Second, you shrink the new habit until it's almost laughably small. And third, and this is the secret ingredient really, you celebrate that tiny win the instant you do it.
All right, let's start with the cue, or as we're going to call it, an anchor. Now, this is not some vague alarm on your phone. An anchor is something you already do every single day without fail. It's a solid, existing routine that your new, tiny habit can just latch onto, like a barnacle.
And you know what? These anchors are absolutely everywhere once you start looking for them. The moment after you pour your morning coffee, right after you finish brushing your teeth, the second you sit down at your desk. The key is to find a super precise, totally reliable moment that can be the perfect prompt for your new little habit.
Okay, on to step 2. You've got to shrink the action. And this is where the 2-minute rule is so incredibly powerful. The rule is this: your new habit has to take less than 2 minutes to complete. The goal here isn't to achieve some massive outcome, it's just to master the art of showing up. It has to be so small and so quick that you can't possibly talk yourself out of it. So here's what that looks like in the real world. Read more becomes read one sentence. Get fit becomes do one single push-up. Be more organized becomes put one item away. You see? These tiny actions aren't the real goal. They're the gateway, the on-ramp to the bigger habit. It's all about building that initial momentum. And now for the final step. It's the one everybody forgets, but it is absolutely essential. You have to celebrate. The instant you finish your tiny action, you have to give yourself some immediate positive reinforcement. You see, the real secret to habit formation isn't repetition, it's emotion. That little spark of good feeling is what tells your brain, hey, that was good, let's do that again.
And listen, this does not have to be a big production. It can be a simple, silent fist pump, a quiet yes under your breath, a genuine smile. It's the feeling that matters. Just find a little celebration that feels authentic to you and do it the second you complete your tiny habit.
Okay, so once you've got that basic blueprint down, you can start to layer on some more advanced tools. These are the things that are really going to lock in your progress for the long haul. And this brings us to a really powerful idea: identity votes. The concept is to stop focusing so much on what you want to achieve and instead start focusing on who you want to become. Every single time you do your tiny habit, you are casting a vote for that new identity. You do one push-up, you just cast a vote for being a healthy person. You read one sentence, that's a vote for being a reader. This quote from James Clear just nails it. Every action is a vote for your identity. You're not just doing some random task. You are literally building evidence, piece by piece, of who you are. And the goal is to build up such a compelling pile of evidence that you start to truly believe in this new identity yourself. But what about those days? You know the ones. The days when everything goes sideways. You're sick, you're exhausted, you're totally overwhelmed. This is where most habits just die. But with micro habits, there's actually a plan for that. The technique is called ability tuning. It's brilliant. You plan 2 versions of your habit: a good day version and a worst day version that is the absolute bare minimum. So on a bad day, your goal isn't to make progress, it's just to not break the chain. Just putting on your shoes and stepping outside for a second, that keeps the habit alive, and it keeps that identity vote alive too.
Now, what's really cool is that this same logic works completely in reverse. To break our bad habits, we don't need some massive battle of willpower. We just need to gently and cleverly dismantle the system that's supporting them. So we already know that to build a good habit, you make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Well, to break a bad one, you just flip those laws on their head. You make the cue invisible, the craving unattractive, the action difficult, and the reward totally unsatisfying. First up, make it invisible. The logic here couldn't be simpler. If you don't see the trigger, you're way less likely to even think about it, let alone act on it. It's that old saying, out of sight, out of mind. Honestly, it's the easiest and most effective first step you can take. Next, you want to make it unattractive. Our phones, for example, are designed to be these vibrant, attention-grabbing dopamine machines. A wild little trick is to just turn your screen to grayscale. It instantly becomes less appealing, which really helps kill that mindless urge to scroll. Third, make the bad habit difficult. You do this by adding friction. You want to put obstacles, even small ones, in your own way. That simple act of having to get out of your warm bed to grab your phone, that can be the little speed bump you need to reconsider if you really need to check Instagram at 2 a.m. And finally, make it unsatisfying. You have to remove that immediate reward. Adding even a tiny 10-second delay before a social media app opens can be just enough to shatter that instant gratification loop that makes these bad habits so darn powerful. Okay, so that's all the theory, but the real magic of this whole system is in actually doing it. So let's put it all together into one simple challenge that you can literally start right now. Here is a complete ABC recipe for you to try. The anchor, after your morning coffee is poured. The tiny behavior, write down one single thing you're grateful for. And the celebration, a quick fist pump and a little nice. That's it. A complete habit loop that takes, maybe 30 seconds? So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that real, lasting change almost never comes from giant leaps. It comes from small, consistent steps. Those tiny votes you cast, day in and day out, for the person you want to become. So the only question left is, what tiny vote are you going to cast for yourself today?